Hey guys, what's up? Yeah, I've got about 34 minutes before I have to clock in and everything. But I thought I'd come on here and kind of, I guess you could say, do a follow-up on something that I did about a week or two ago. And I do appreciate the response that I got out of it. So far, it's one of my most watched videos in the past several weeks. And that is me talking about what fans actually want to see in season 9 or come season 9 of MLP, from what I've seen and read through various sources like here on YouTube, as well as places like Equestria Daily and the MLP forums. And I'll provide a link to that video in case you guys haven't seen it yet. But I do appreciate the views on that video, because basically I listed down, I believe, 5 things within the span of 12 minutes, or a little over 12 minutes, of what fans want to see. But here, I'm not going to really edit too much. I mean, if I do, you'll see it in one of the upper hand corners here, but if I don't, then consider this like a straight follow-up to that video. But this is more along the lines of what potentially and is most likely to happen in season 9. Basically, consider this the 5 things potentially and most likely to happen in season 9. Because if season 9 is the last season, everybody knows with any kind of show that's been this successful, but it's also basically has really created a lot of questions and even created some plot holes that fans want legitimate answers to. Usually the last season is that season you get those answers, or at least the seasons leading up to it, and mostly the last season is when you get those answers. So, with that said, I thought I'd come on here and kind of give you, like I said, my list of 5 things that actually, more than likely and potentially, could happen in season 9 if it's the last season, to really wrap things up, if you will. So, here we go, and I've got about 31 minutes to do this in. Hopefully it won't be that long. Alright, the first one to talk about is Scootaloo. Now, ever since season 1, and mostly around after that, season 2 and whatnot, the one thing that a lot of fans had always been hoping to see happen is Scootaloo finally learning to fly. The closest we ever got for Scootaloo flying is in the episode Do Princesses Dream of Magic Sheep, which was season 5, but that was in the dream realm to help Princess Luna fight the Tantibus. Or get control of the Tantibus again, or take it down. You kind of get the idea. Basically, in the dream realm, they were able to create whatever they wanted to create. And Scootaloo was able to create these larger-than-life wings on herself so she could fly finally. And thus, it kind of gave us an idea that that's what Scootaloo is always dreamed of, to finally fly. And the fact that they did an episode this season that featured the return of lightning dust, well, basically they had Scootaloo say, look, I'm never going to be able to fly because I can't, and this is my only opportunity here. Yeah, some might feel that brings finality to the story arc for Scootaloo, but it doesn't. I think next season, Scootaloo's story arc is going to be finalized because she is going to be flying. What's going to happen is there's going to come an episode. Don't know how early in the season, or how early in the season, or in the middle, or towards the end of the episode, or towards the end of the season, it might get. But Scootaloo is going to fly. There's going to be, like I said, there's going to be a moment in an episode, whenever that episode occurs, either it's at towards the first half of the season, towards the midway point of the season, or around the second half of the season. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen in a very positive way. It's going to have people talking and saying how good the episode was. Even if the episode has major flaws to it, hopefully it doesn't, because this is something that fans want to see get finality and have a wrap on, and have a story that fits it and suits it to do so. But even if the story does have some flaws, people will still praise it as being a decently good episode, more so for the fact that it will be the episode that Scootaloo finally flies in. So, yeah, that to start off this, I wouldn't say a top 5 list, but that there, out of the 5 likely things to happen, most likely and potential things to happen, that there, Scootaloo learning to fly, finally flying in season 9, is probably one of the more likely ones to occur. Another one that's the most likely to occur in season 9 is the students graduating from Twilight School. We kind of got the hint that the student 6 or the young 6 are going to be graduating out of Twilight School. A lot of us thought it would be at the end of this season, but that's not the case. They're going to still be going on for the next season or so. So you can expect in season 9, if it is the last season, that is the most likely time, probably more so either in the halfway point, like the mid-season finale point, or most likely the season series finale point. The most likely thing that's going to happen is the young 6, the student 6, graduating as the inaugural graduating class of Twilight School of Friendship. You can expect that. So expect the young 6, the student 6, along with their classmates to graduate from Twilight School of Friendship, and possibly at the same time have the elements of harmony passed on down to them by the main 6 themselves. Because if you saw the finale for season 8 a little early, you kind of have the idea of who may get what element if that part is added in as well. But the most likely scenario, as I said, is you're going to have the student 6 graduating from Twilight School of Friendship as the inaugural graduating class of her school. Alright. The other most likely and potential thing to probably happen in season 9, if it is the last season, is we're finally going to get some finality on whether or not Applejack and Pinkie Pie are family or related in some way. Now I know some people might be like, well, they kind of answer that a little bit. You know, now some people might say, oh, well, they kind of answered that already. Or they're not going to answer that because they don't want people to be confused, and they want fans to interpret, how they look at it. That might be true, but I tend to think that why would you put so much stock into this back, season 4 or season 3, season 4? Follow it up in season 5 and then kind of touch upon it a little bit in the upcoming holiday special and stuff like that. I mean, why would you do that if you weren't planning to maybe focus in on it down the line, probably bring some finality to it? And I truly believe that's what we're going to get here. I think we're going to get some finality to this story arc of whether or not Applejack and to whether or not Applejack and Pinkie are related. We're going to get some finality to that. I know some folks don't want to hear that possibly because they kind of like speculating and interpreting it themselves. But again, if this is the last season, then it is one of, in my opinion, just looking at how things are playing out, it's probably the most likely scenario to occur. Probably the most likely. So, yeah, that's another one that I think is very likely to happen in season 9. We're finally going to get an answer to the apples and the pies connected by relation in some way, and why was there some, and basically why was there some kind of basically it's like, why was there some kind of attempt to hide that possibility? Like, what was the attempt to kind of hide the possibility of knowing if these two families are connected and related? So, that's probably the other most likely thing, and potentially most likely thing to occur. The other most likely thing to finally happen, and I even mentioned this in what fans actually want to see occur in season 9, but I think this does also land itself in the most potential and most likely thing to happen in season 9. Disparity. Rarity and Spike, their situation finally being addressed. And I know some people have stressed on this and been like, you've been teasing that, Hasbro, DHX, you and the creative team have been teasing this, you've been joking about this, you've been hinting at it, you've been doing this and that over the past 8 seasons. You need to finally do something about it, and I believe potentially and most likely they are going to do something about it here in season 9, if it is the last season. And I believe it's going, and I'm sticking to my guns where I feel the most likely thing that's going to come out of this is Disparity will become official. I don't know why I have this feeling that they're going to make it official in some manner, but I believe they will. I know some people are saying, well, Brian, that's just mere speculation. And in a sense it is, but again, just like what I mentioned previously with the whole, Applejack Pinkie relation deal and us finally getting some finality to that, I believe the same thing's going to happen here. And you just look at the fact that in this season, this current season we're in right now, season 8, they're still teasing about it and joking about it, or whatever, or however you look at it, even in this season. And they used a moment in the Hearts and Hooves Day episode they did this year. The Hearts and Hooves Day episode they did this year, which was the big breakdown. The fact that they did it there with a moment where Spike was holding a Hearts and Hooves Day heart that he had made for Rarity. He wrote a poem on there for Rarity. It's like, come on, seriously. You didn't have to go that length. You didn't have to go that length or go that direction if you didn't want to, especially if you were joking about, hey, Spike might be interested in a fictional character at the end of the episode, which I think was a joke right there, which I think was basically a joke right there, period, from the creative staff. But the thing is, why tease it and mention it and reference this and bring it back up in season 8 when, in a sense, you barely touched upon it in season 7? The reason I believe they did that is season 9 comes, most likely in season 9 we're going to get some finality, and I have this feeling, I don't know how they're going to do it, I don't know how they're going to make it happen, but I believe in some fashion the most likely thing that's going to occur when it comes to Disparity, Spike and Rarity, is yes, they're going to be an item, but it's going to be done in a very subtle way. So potentially and most likely the other thing that's going to happen in season 9, Sparity becomes official. How it happens, how it's accomplished, I have no idea, but it's most likely going to become reality. Either some people like it or they don't. It's going to happen. Alright, speaking of romance, the other most likely thing to happen. The most likely other thing to happen, Big Mac and Sugar Belle are going to get married. And the reason I bring this up is, why would you make them an item in season 9? Why would you do a second episode, somewhat of a sequel, following up on that episode here in season 8 with the breakup breakdown, unless you plan to do a trilogy of episodes dedicated to these two as an item? And the most likely scenario, and potentially most likely scenario in season 9, is them getting married. I feel that's what it's leading towards. And how I feel this is going to happen is either the midway point or in the first half of the season, probably the midway point, mid-season finale. We're going to have Big Mac in that episode, the mid-season finale, or at least close to it, proposing to Sugar Belle, asking her to marry him right then, and not right then and there, but to marry him and be his wife. And I think, and honestly, that's going to be the moment that leads us possibly tying into the finale for the show, for the series, for the season, of them getting married as well, to cap everything off. So, yeah, probably the most legitimate and potential thing to happen in season 9, and most likely, what I'm saying is the most legitimately and likely thing to happen in season 9 will be Big Mac and Sugar Belle getting married. And I believe it's all going to get kicked off either with the best gift ever, or it's going to get kicked off with the mid-season finale and Big Mac proposing to Sugar Belle to be his wife. And that's probably the most legitimately likely thing to happen in season 9. Count on it. Count on it to happen. Count on the proposal, sorry about all that, to happen around the mid-season point, and expect the wedding to probably tie into the finale, the series season finale as well. So yeah, Sugar Belle and Big Mac getting married is probably the most legitimate and most potentially likely thing to happen in season 9. And probably the most other likely thing that will occur in this finality in season 9, if it is the last season, is the most likely thing that's going to happen in the season is we are going to get the wedding between Big Mac and Sugar Belle. But the other most likely and potential thing to happen is we're going to probably see Twilight taking over Celestia's place as like the princess in Equestria. That is probably most likely to happen. I mean, obviously it's being set up for Celestia and maybe even Luna, most likely Celestia, to ascend to a higher plane, or to take a page out of Star Swirl's book and, go explore the rest of Equestria, go on her journey or something like that. But the most likely scenario in the end is Twilight's going to ascend to the position of being the princess, like being basically the new Celestia of Equestria. It's probably the most likely thing that's going to happen, potentially. And yeah, and how it happens, I'm not really sure, but it is the most likely scenario, and potentially the most likely scenario. I know I talked about it, what fans actually want to see. I believe I said it there, but potentially and most likely it's going to happen here. And that's potentially most likely the direction the creative staff is going to go in. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but all signs are pointing to it. I believe all signs are pointing towards it. So, yeah. That's the other most likely, if not potentially likely thing to happen in Season 9. And last but not least, I think the other most likely thing that's going to happen in Season 9 is we're finally going to get confirmation, not just with a flashback cameo appearance in Shadow Play by the Sirens, but we're actually going to finally get a legitimate connection between both Friendship is Magic and Equestria Girls. And I believe that's going to occur because we got that upcoming special happening, so you got to tie it in somehow with Friendship is Magic. And I believe the finale, however big it is, how many parts it is going to be the way we connect we make that connection. I really do. I believe we're going to get this connection that's going to occur. We're going to get the connection that basically brings Sunset back to Equestria. That's going to happen most likely as a part of this. But yeah, to end this, to cap this off, to cap this video off, most likely, potentially most likely, or most potentially likely, we're going to finally get a connection, a legitimate connection between both series on the Friendship side, on the Friendship is Magic side of things. So, and it's all going to tie in with the finale for the season, if not the series. So most potentially likely, we're going to finally get a connection between both shows. And it's going to culminate with Sunset's return. So yeah, that's pretty much all I'm going to say. I know some of you watching may think, well, those are good theories and speculations on what most likely will happen. And it is, but when you think about it, you kind of take a look at how things are being kind of represented in the show as we speak. You know, some of the hints and the clues and stuff. Yeah, some of those you would probably agree with would be the most likely direction they're going to go in for Season 9. So yeah, it's just my opinion, but from what I've seen, most potentially and most likely, that's the direction. Those are some of the things that will probably occur and become reality in Season 9 in some shape, form, or fashion. But let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And I will talk to you all later. And by now, if you've watched this, you probably realize there's nothing on either side, Brian. I don't see no pictures. Because, hey, this is just a straight up follow-up to what I did in that other video. So let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. I'm out.